way we can pay back to Hakham Matloub and to make it continuous, B'ezrat Hashem, and to see the community growing Mahayil al-Hayil. Amin ve'amin.
Sefatayim Ishak. Thank you, Rabbi. Grandson is with us. I would like to invite Mr. Chuck. Itzhak, what is your Jewish real name? Shaul. So what, Chuck?
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is going to be very inadequate based upon what we've heard so far. First, obviously, we want to thank the committee, the rabbi, Jeffrey, everybody here. It's just amazing to have this turnout. This all started about a year ago when Jeffrey Dweck called me to gather material for a booklet being prepared by the shul about my grandfather. I was taken aback since this was not my grandfather's shul, and frankly, I didn't think there were many congregants that knew him personally. Jeff explained to me how important it was to commemorate his legacy. As a small committee gathered material and interviewed those that knew him, the content and their ambitions grew. And now the booklet will become a book. The following few paragraphs are excerpts from the draft pages of the upcoming book. It's a cold Sunday morning in January 1970. Bensonhurst is quiet. About 1,000 men and women shuffle towards 67th Street, which has been closed to traffic. They are converging on the Magen David Knis, built in 1921, to pay their last respects. Their Hakham, community leader and luminary, Matloub Abadi, passed away just before sunset on New Year's Day. Everyone is crying, including his lifelong students, Sam Catton, Joe Catton, Dennis Dweck, Leo Esses, Moshe Faham, Rabbi Faur, Rabbi Harari Raful, Joe Safdie, Abe Adeya, and many more. The Chacham's elegant wife, Esther, takes her seat with the daughters, Fritzi, Adele, and Evelyn. The plain coffin was carried past Sharet Zion and Magen David on Avenue P, past the institutions he served. The Chacham will be eulogized in the sanctuary, an honor that at that time was only reserved for rabbis and great scholars. Chacham Matloub was the father of that building and the Talmud Torah next door. The rabbi was eulogized by his close friend and student, Mr. Sam Catton, as well as Chacham Yaakov Kassin, Rabbi El Nadav, and Rabbi Hecht. The Chacham's body will be flown later that day to Har HaMenuchot. Matloub was born in Aleppo in 1889, descending from a family of noted rabbis. His bris was during the fast of Tisha B'Av. His father named him Matloub, which is Syria's Charles or Saul, or in Hebrew Shaul. This translates to a request, possibly because his parents had a difficult time conceiving. At 17, Matloub was already teaching small groups of contemporaries and some men much older than him in Syria. His childhood friend, as was already discussed, and study partner was Rabbi Ezra Atiyah. World War I broke out and reached the Middle East. Rather than be drafted to the Ottoman army, he tried to prove to the authorities that he was a rabbi, but he was clean-shaven and wore a suit rather than a beard and a turban, and they did not believe him. So he left Palestine and returned to Aleppo. He eventually moved to Israel, which was then called Palestine, and married Esther Nahum, and they eventually followed Aleppo's Syrian Jews to New York. And the rest is what brought us here tonight. These days, there are probably hundreds of rabbis in our community. In fact, select the last name, and there might be a rabbi by that name. But if you say Chacham, the list gets much smaller. And if you say Matloub, he stands alone, which he often did. As for recognition, he stubbornly resisted, and he always fled from honor and tribute. When a dinner in his honor, and that was one of the photos, was proposed in the 60s for 40 years of community service, he only agreed when they said that it was part of a fundraiser for Magen David. If you look at the photo of the crowd as part of the exhibit tonight, many of you will spot your parents or grandparents. They also presented him with this gold watch, still working just fine. And now, 60 years after we lost him, he is honored again by this Haskara. I asked my cousin, Annette Hittery, to provide us with a few words, which I'm going to read on her behalf. My name is Annette Hittery, and I was the first grandchild of Hakham Matloub and his wife, Esther Nahum. May they rest in peace. Today, we are celebrating his extraordinary contributions as a rabbinical leader, teacher, and author. But there was so much more to him. He was the affectionate grandpa, kissing all of us on both cheeks. He was the playful grandpa, singing nursery rhymes in Arabic, and the dramatic grandpa, intoning the 10 plagues at the Seders. Friday afternoons on Ocean Parkway, school was over, Shabbat was just a few hours away. Grandma would serve coffee and her pastries and take the Kent cigarettes out of the freezer. The women would model the new clothes they bought at Loman's. Grandpa Matloub would be sitting in his corner chair, never without a large book resting on his lap, holding small pieces of paper containing his mysterious writings. After college, I decided to become a teacher. I took great pride and enjoyed a special bond with him when he supported my career choice. Thank you, Annette. This is from Naomi Wall. My name is Naomi Nahum Wall. I am the niece of Rabbi Matloub Abadi and his wife Esther. My uncle revered Aunt Esther beyond belief. They brought me to America from Israel in 1957. Esther is the daughter of Hakham Nisim Nahum, who supported all the yeshivot in Jerusalem, Egypt, and Syria. He gave each student one gold coin a month to support their families. I have the highest respect for Aunt Esther. She was the woman behind him and the rabbi's rock, especially in his later years. She welcomed all the rabbanim to their home and served them her delicious food. People would call on him constantly to discuss the important issues of our community. She helped him if he missed some of the words. Esther Abadi deserves the same accolades as the rabbi, as a true Eshet Chayil. We miss them, and we hope that the community follows in both of their footsteps. Thank you, Naomi. It's human nature for us to wish that we are younger than we really are. I'm no different, of course. However, at times I wish I was born earlier, for the simple reason that I could have spent more of my adult years with my grandfather. My grandfather was a stubborn man when he thought he was right. On the other hand, he was diplomatic when he disagreed. He often said, "I would like to know on what research you relied upon to shape your opinion." In the 60s, my grandparents lived directly across Ocean Parkway from Sharet Zion. My grandfather used to cross the street right in the middle across the dividers. Grandma nagged him, "Cross at the corner, it's much safer." So he crossed at the corner. He was hit by a car. But thank God he recovered. When my father, Abe, alav v'shalom, became an Air Force lieutenant bombardier in World War II, he supported him 100%. Grandpa loved America and said we should all respect all the patriotic holidays. I'm almost done, so please let me paint you my picture. If I close my eyes, I see Grandpa with his glasses on, studying an oversized Gemara. If I walk into the kitchen for some kak and return a minute or two later, the Gemara is still there, but this time it's leaning on his chest as he dozed off, probably still dissecting the Rambam's commentary. No doubt, for the last 50 years, he is still teaching his students in the glorious classroom of the Olam Haba. We have his teachings forever. The Sephardic Heritage exhibit in the shul has many fantastic artifacts. In addition to the watch I showed you before, I have a special artifact of my own. I have his shofar. Thank you, everybody.